Hello friends, it's Simone. Welcome to the first currently inked video after my 30 inks, 30 days exploration. If you're curious about my thoughts, you can go back to that video. I will link it in the description or in the cards up above. And I will also link my Inky Thoughts video that is really short this month. I have my pens in this pen case. It doesn't close at the moment. There is 11 pens. This is a 10 pen case. So I'm keeping one here and one here. That's how it closes. I have sorted them right now by this color, rainbow. I actually think, even though I didn't go for a fall color palette, this could actually count as a fall color palette or autumn color palette. Blah, cannot talk today. I have 11 inks. 3, 6, 9, 11 inks. Some pens are freshly inked. Some inks are carried over from 30 inks, 30 days, but are in different pens. And some inks are new, like this and this one. And some pens are completely carried over from 30 inks, 30 days. And I will tell you which ones those are. I don't know where I can keep this, so it's in the frame still, but this is what it looks like. And I will start right here with writing my currently inked title. This is a TWSBI Mini in black. And it has a special nib on it. Let me just finish writing, because if you've been following me for a while, you know that I cannot talk and write at the same time. This nib has been ground by Kirkspear of Penrealm. It is a reverse architect nib. So this side is an architect, this one is an extra fine. I took it to the San Francisco Pen Show this year, and he smoothed out the finer side, so I can actually really write very well with this pen. The first pen that I have is the Pilot Custom 823, and I usually don't post this. This is what ink is this, and how am I making the boxes? How did I make the boxes the last time around? Too wide. This is a carryover from 30 inks, 30 days. I just wasn't ready to unink it. I really like the color. It's a burnt orange, or that's at least what I call it. It's a darker orange. I would not consider this a coral, even though it has some reddish pinkish hues up here. But in the writing, it looks very much orange. And then what is the next? Okay, so this is a Pilot Custom 823 in the amber colorway. The nib is a medium nib, and the ink is Diamine from their Inkvent line. I made sure 2021, and the color is Red Robin, and that doesn't fit now. Red Robin. I made sure to pick inks that I hadn't used yet in my 30 inks, 30 days. And this one specifically, I wanted to use all of the 30 inks, the Inkvent inks that I hadn't put into pens. Even though I'm coming out of a quite stressful month of filming a daily video and inking a pen every day, I am strongly considering doing a similar thing in December. Not because I'm not planning on filming any videos. However, I am planning on putting inks in all the Inkvent inks into pens, because every ink that I used from the Inkvent line, this 30 inks, I really liked and enjoyed, and I hadn't put it into a pen for 1.5 years, more than 1.5 years. And I'm not really sure why that happened. Maybe because I thought those inks were boring, but I want to have that. I have this ink in a pen right away, and then I can, yeah, now I still need to finish my train of thought, and then I can decide, do I like it? Do I want to explore it more? Do I want to keep it, or do I want to pass it along? I feel like I owe that to the money that I spent on it. And it's really fun. I don't plan on filming a video. My thought is to swatch the ink on the page, to fill the pen, to make a writing sample, to use it for journaling, to write. If you follow Kelly from the Stationery Cafe, she has done a Inkvent. The way she does it is she writes the date, she makes a swatch, and then she writes why she put this ink into that pen and what this color looks like. And I feel like even though she doesn't write a lot, you still get kind of an impression of what that ink might be, and if it's worth exploring, maybe if it's not the right fit for the pen, in a different pen, if you want to keep it or if you want to pass it along. And so that's what I'm hopefully going to do. And at the end of the month, I might film a video, or at the end of the Inkvent. All right, this pen is a research pen. This is no, that's not, I always want to say Pilot, but it's a Sailor Pro Gear Slim. With a medium fine nib. This specific model is the Autumn Sky. How do you write autumn? Autumn Sky. The ink that's inside is KWCZ Honey. I had this nib smoothed and made wetter by Kirk Spear of Penrealm, but this ink is really wet, and I am trying to figure out, or the exploration that I'm doing is I have both of those pens inked with KWZ Honey, so I'm making the same thing again, and maybe you might already see why I am exploring these pens with the same ink. This is a Sailor Pro Gear. I do not know it also has a medium fine nib. I do not know the colorway, it's just orange and black. This is a loaner pen. And this ink is, as I said, KWC Honey. So, this is a 21 karat gold nib. This is a 14 karat. And there's inherently nothing wrong with this nib, but when I'm using this pen with this nib and the exact same ink, I am enjoying this pen and writing experience more. Now, this is not my pen, this is my pen. I'm wondering so there's two things. I'm not particularly in love with this colorway. My friend who loaned this pen to me told me that if I wanted to purchase it after the loaning period, however long that may be, she would be happy to sell this pen to me. Now, the question is, do I sell this pen to fund this pen? Do I sell this pen and hopefully sell this pen as well. So if you would like this, please reach out to me and I can get you in contact with the owner of this pen who wants to sell it to fund this pen. Or am I going to sell this and fund another Pro Gear with a medium fine nib? But then the next question would be, is that going to be the same writing experience? I mean, you would hope, and we would all wish for that to happen, but that's not necessarily the case. So that's why I put those in here. During my 30 inks, I did not enjoy the writing experience with this pen, and I wasn't sure if it was the pen or the ink. I know now that if you put a fairly wet ink into this pen, it's definitely very pleasant. However, considering all the pens and nibs that I now own, the question is, what special experience does this pen give me in my collection? What makes it stand out? And I currently don't see anything that will do that for me. Then I'd rather use this one, which is also a swappy experiment. I had originally put, this nib was in a different pen. It is in my newest acquisition, or yeah, newest, but there is one more acquisition video coming after that, but I purchased it before this pen. I purchased a Namiki Vanishing Point with a medium nib, and I think I was led by the color of the ink to put that ink into this nib. However, I have found that I don't enjoy that combination. Now, the easiest way to change that was to just swap the nib units of both of these pens around. And that is such a weird experience as well. So I'm curious to see how, after a long time of writing with this. So let me write Pilot, Vanishing Point. And this is a medium nib, and I'm going to write the K as well. This is the deep yellow. And the ink is Troublemaker, Hanging Rice. This is a carryover from 30 Inks 30 Days. However, I had this ink in a different pen. I just wanted to use it again. So this is a 14K nib, and if you know much about Pilot Vanishing Points, then you know that their nib units are usually 18K. This is is it vintage? Almost vintage pen from 1997, and those nibs were then made with 14 karat gold. I had to quickly stop, but I don't remember where I was with this thought process. I hope there was nothing else I wanted to say. I already put it away, so let's just assume that was it. Wow. You can hear very many background noises today. I'm filming in the afternoon. The kids are home, but I just couldn't wait because I really want to get you the most first impression of the inkings that I have, at least of those pens that I am not carrying over. And I already swapped the nib units of these two pens around because of the way it felt to me. All right, this pen is I said it in my 30 inks video. I feel like this pen is almost my most comfortable pen at the moment. The grip section is perfect. I don't need to cap it, post it. Oh my gosh, how many people, including me, completely say cap instead of post every time they talk on camera. I just love it. This is, what did I say? This is a Walltown. Did I even say that before? Walltown pens. And the model is a Watts model. The nib is a fine nib. I called this the blank that it was made from is called Sebastian. I lovingly call this alicorn poop, because if you have read the Keeper of Lost Things series, you know that alicorns poop sparkle. This ink is urbain lierre sauvage, and this nib is extraordinarily tuned. I love writing with it, and because it wasn't empty, I decided I wouldn't clean it out. I really enjoyed writing with it. Hello? What? Please don't really ruin the camera position around. What are you looking at? Oh my gosh, this cat. He's sniffing in my ink bottle boxes. Maybe you can move along. Sorry. Can you just, yeah, this is perfect. We can keep on going now. Next pen that I'm just going to keep on using until the ink runs out is this Benu Ambrosia Brown Orchid. I swapped out the nib to a medium nib. I have a medium and a fine nib for this pen, so I switched it around, and I'm glad I did. I think it would have perfectly worked with the fine nib, but this just gives this ink so much more power. It changes the color as when it dries, as well as has some sheen. The pen is the Benu Ambrosia in a medium nib. The model is the Brown Orchid. And the ink is Krishna Inks. And that's from their India series. It's Chennai. However, I have not found this ink on their website. The company Pen Chalet is the only fountain pen company here in the United States, or retailer, whatever you want to call them, that sells Krishna inks, if I'm not mistaken, and they are sold out of this ink. So I'm not even sure if they still make this. I would buy a bottle of this ink in a heartbeat. I'm just so in love with this. I'm planning on filming a fountain pen collection video. What I love about my Benus is that their nibs are usually really wet, this one as well. They're also quite smooth, and what makes this stand out is just the shape and the fact that it still works like a perfectly fine fountain pen, full-size fountain pen. It doesn't feel uncomfortable at all, and you wouldn't notice that from this pen shape when you look at it at first. This, you might guess what ink this is. Someone suggested under my video of 30 inks 30 days, where I had this ink in a fine Pilot Kakuno, to put this in a stub. I didn't go all the way out into a big stub like 1.1 or 1.5. I decided to put it into this pen with the journaler nib. And the pen is called Esterbrook Estie. And the nib is a journaler. And the design is sea glass. And the ink is diamond. Ink. There must be a hair or something. I mean, no wonder. We just had a catwalk all over. 2021 Ruby Blues. I really enjoy... I'm missing a pen. Where is it? Oh, I completely forgot this one. I wanted to have this in this color gradient, but this goes in between this and this, I think. Oh, do I rip out all the pages? Well, I definitely feel like it. So I am enjoying this. I didn't think I would. We'll see how it works out in a longer writing session. I haven't done that yet. So the pen that I skipped is this Esterbrook Estie with a Techo nib. And spoiler, I have another Estie that is in my house already. I unboxed it, and so when I shared this one, I told you that I was going to unscrew the nib unit. That wasn't possible. I didn't want to ruin this nib because it's a specialty nib, so I did not do anything. I just decided, okay, I love this nib so much. What did I want to say? Yes, so I didn't want to like do it brute force style and really yank the nib unit out. I have just chatted with this about this with some friends. Let me see if I can find a nib on different Discord servers. So even though I pretend I know so many things about fountain pens, I have not been able to successfully take out a nib from the housing and the nib and the feet without me feeling like I'm going to break the whole thing. The only way I change nibs is by unscrewing the whole unit, this thing, and screwing in a new unit. And Esterbrook, for instance, and other pen makers sell spare nib unit to do that. That's how I got this journaler nib onto this pen. I bought this nib secondhand, but that I assume that the person bought that from their site. So now this didn't work. So I decided, okay, I'm not going to screw with this. I'm too scared to break anything because I have not been able to yank out the nib just like that. I know there's grip sections and stuff that grippers, like rubber grippers, silicone grippers that you can use to take this off. I have something like that for knitting, so I tried this, but it still feels like I'm going to break this. So I have decided this pen and this nib are going to stay together forever. My newest pen, which, spoiler alert, is this one, had a medium nib on it. And in the video, I take it off and I basically turn so hard, even though if you've watched Mike from Inkdependence, he gave a really interesting, I'm looking for an empty pen that I can just unscrew the nib unit. He says let's use one of those, and take the converter out. Instead of turning this, hold this and turn the section. And that worked really well here. But when I did the same thing with this pen, I still completely mangled the tines. Because if it doesn't budge, it doesn't really matter what part of the nib you turn, you're still going to basically mangle the finest parts of the thing, which is the tines. So I was able to unscrew this unit. This is it, but it had some residue back here. And then I wanted to screw on this unit, and it didn't go. It stayed out here, and then it would not come further out, in. It would not go further in. So I decided, okay, well, maybe I'm not going to do that then. But the other day I felt like, what if I just turn? Maybe it then goes in and I can unscrew it again. No, I cannot. So I dip tested this because I wanted to see how comfortable it is. It is comfortable. So I guess I now have a specialty nib grind nib from Kirkspear on this Estie forever. Interesting. That wasn't the plan, but that's what I wanted to tell you, that I'm confused at why this happens. If you have something like that, somebody else told me my nib won't come, my Estie nib won't come out. I'm like, yeah, you just turn it. I didn't understand what they were talking about, but now that I had these two experiences, I totally understand, and I'm wondering, who do you contact? Do you contact Esterbrook directly about this issue? Do you contact the retailer? What will they do about it? And that's something that I did not expect from these pens to happen. These maker pens are so much easier to screw and to unscrew than this. So I'm not sure. I want to get one more, and you probably know which one. But I think after that, I might be finished with my Esterbrook career. Career in the sense of Esterbrook Estie. This is Techo nib. And this is the Rainforest. Did you experience something like that before? Is that common or is it not? Let me know in the comments down below. You probably know which Estie I'm still lusting after, and I think when I got that one, then I'm done. I have so many amazing pens in my collection, and the reason why they are amazing and why they are allowed to stay is because they're different. And Esties have Jowo nibs. Oh, there's a cat again. Don't, please. You know, dude, let me check if you still have Krümels. Let me check. The ink that is inside here is Waringur King Lear. I kept this ink in here because this is another 30 inks, 30 days pen and ink combination. I was so surprised that I was going to enjoy this ink. And I think it's the Techo nib. I want to do more explorations after this is done, but I really enjoyed this writing experience. I am enjoying the Techo nib more than the journaler and the stubby nibs, which again is something I absolutely and completely did not expect. It's just so much smoother. It's not as edgy. And then this one, I already opened it, didn't even show it to you, is my Benu Confetti Milkshake. This is one of those pens that are currently on my list of thinking about selling. Because even though it's pretty and beautiful, I enjoy the other two Euphorias that I have from Benu more than this one. What did I say about did I say Benu Euphoria or did I say Esterbrook Estie Confetti Milkshake? Sorry. Benu Euphoria. This one is a medium nib. And this is Confetti Milk shake. And the ink is Sailor Manyo Fuji. This is another carryover from 30 days. I decided to keep this inked because I was just so, again, I think the ones that I kept moving over were those inks where I didn't expect to like them so much, and now I really don't want to get rid of them just because. Next pen, third to last. Oh no, why? What? I think I didn't want to show you these two. What a bummer. Ha! Why is this? Okay, yeah, 10 plus 2 spare is 12, and I made 11 and made this. This sucks big time. Oh my gosh, I need to refilm this whole thing. You think I would do this? Absolutely not. This is the Lamy 2000. Again, another let's try this ink and pen. This one I do post. So this, I purchased this pen last year during Black Friday at Endless Pens, and I purchased it with an extra fine nib because I thought that's what I wanted. However, I have, even though I really like this, I always felt like maybe I would enjoy it more if it wasn't the extra fine. And so when Kristen from Life Inspires Design, she has a YouTube channel here, and she actually filmed a video where she switched out her fine nib, Lamy 2000, to a spare extra fine nib. And so I asked when we met at the San Francisco Pen Show if she had sold her nib yet, if she would be willing to lend it to me so I could try it and see if I wanted to buy one of those. And I absolutely do. I mean, this is probably also a very wet ink. This is Diamine. But I wouldn't really care if all the inks in this pen would flow like this. This is absolutely my wheelhouse, and I enjoy this so much. Let me squeeze the other two down here and then just not have a super nice design. So I'm really looking forward to using this month. And I already asked Kristen if she wanted this back or if maybe I could purchase the nib because woohoo. And if you have a Lamy 2000 and you have a nib that you don't like, my extra fine nib is for sale. Ha ha. So how am I going to do this? What if I do 3 and 3? Yes, this looks good. This is weird. So this pen is, I think, currently my most expensive pen and nib combination in my possession. It is the Ultum, Schon design Ultum full-size fountain pen. That's the model of the pen. And the nib that is on it is the medium monarch nib. I purchased this at the San Francisco. The ink that it is inked with is Diamine, another Inkvent. (2021), and this is raspberry rose. This is wet, super wet, especially when I start writing with it. There's not a lot of ink left in here, so I definitely will clean this once it's done and rinse it. And I want to try a different ink, maybe not a really dry ink, but not a super gusher ink like Raspberry Rose. I suspected that this ink was a super gusher ink the minute I swatched this during the Inkvent 2021, but I also was extremely afraid to not have a very good first experience with this nib. And so I made sure that I would choose a wet ink, but I didn't consider that this might actually even be too wet. Again, another carryover. So I will show you this. I have a video of the unboxing and testing of this nib. A pen. The nib that came with the pen is here. This is a 14K gold nib. This is a 18K gold nib. They're both medium size. The 18K is much bouncier, so much more bouncy, is bouncier than the 14K. And because the ink that is in the 18K is a lot wetter than the ink that is in the 14K medium nib, I decided to just swap them around and see if that works. Otherwise, I would probably rinse and re-ink and swap the inks. Maybe I can do that next month or when the converters are empty, because that would be really interesting to see how that feels then. The ink that is in this nib is, wow. They are also really similar because they are so wet. You can't really see any undertones. What I have found is that the thinner the pen for me, the more important it is that the ink is wet and flows nicely out of the pen. That's why it doesn't really bother me in this pen body because it's heavy and girthy, and I feel like I can grab it better than this one. This needs to be grabbed very softly. Okay, this is the Namiki Vanishing Point with a medium 18K nib. The colorway is Hunter Green. And I really love this pen. It looks so, I was so drawn to this. I don't know really why, but I was. And so I decided to, on a whim, get this pen, and I'm glad that I did. The ink that I have in here is Diamine, Writer's Blood. I'm still very, I feel like I'm going for the wetter, even too wet inks with my pens, or with those pens that I have experienced as dry writers in the past, because I'm so afraid that I will not have a good experience with them. That is, I struggled with the steel alloy nib that comes on this pen for a while. It was so dry and so unpleasant to use. And then I purchased this nib unit that is now in this green Namiki, and it was better, but it still felt odd. So I put an Iroshizuku ink in here into this nib, and that was really great. So now I'm trying to find the sweet spot. When is it not too wet? And I think if I swapped the inks in those nibs, it would be perfect. But right now I'm going to use this, and then maybe for next month I'm just going to swap it. And I have to tell you, even though my fountain pen collection has grown quite rapidly in the past 6 months, I still feel like, I have to test this next month. If I do that, and I'm just not going to concern me with the pens that I'm not inking then I will have these pens inked again, and I will not use pens that are in my collection that then sit out another round of fountain pen inking. So what realization I have come to recently is that yes, of course, I can have a bigger collection. I can have pens that excite me for various reasons, and there is lots of those currently. But what I also really need to remember and focus on is that I need to give myself time to explore them. And what I think I will talk about this in my fountain pen collection video. What I have learned, especially by participating in 30 Inks 30 Days, is that a pen, I want to use a pen more if there is something special about it. Maybe it's the design. That's a reason, a very valid reason. Maybe it's how wet it is. Maybe it's the special grind on it. Maybe it's how comfortable it feels in my hand. Those are reasons that make it really easy for me to say, yes, this pen needs to be in my collection. For pens where I feel like this is just a random standard feeling for how this pen writes, I can replicate this with any other pen. It doesn't give me a specific feeling that I need to experience. Then it's really easy for me to say, okay, I'm going to sell this pen. It's okay. I don't need this in my collection. Yeah, I always talk about and think about these things, especially when it comes to justifying what goes in and what goes out. Here is I always have jewel toned fall color palettes. I feel like here's my October color palette. I have not reached my goal of only inking 6 pens, which is really hard to do when you have 2 of the same color and experimenting with things. And it's also really hard when you're carrying over pens from the previous month. But I think this is a good start to October. And when I run out of ink, I'm just going to clean and keep whatever is still inked so I can pare down and experience lesser pens inked. And then I will come back at the end of the month and tell you all my thoughts about how that experience went, how the experiment went. And thanks so much for sticking with me for such a long time. I hope to see you soon. Until then, bye.